All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's up and welcome back to Pro Pels Talk episode 73, presented to you by Boot Crew Media and Hornitos Tequila. My name is Justin Napoli, joined with a special guest of the host of Sportsman's Paradise podcast and avid Pelicans fan, Kent Mcguire. Kent, thanks for joining the show today. Right off the bat, I know everyone did their reactions of the Bledsoe Adams trade, so I'm going to give you mine. I'm very happy about it. I think that I said this a couple weeks ago, that I think that the biggest thing this team can do is get off Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams as soon as possible. What does David Griffin do? He gets off of them in the same exact trade. Gets Valanciunas back, moves back 7 spots in the draft, gives up a second rounder, and then a future first round Lakers pick that is top 10 protected. So right off the bat, they get off Eric Bledsoe, they get off Steven Adams. My initial reaction is that Valanciunas is a way better player than Steven Adams. Just point blank. Valanciunas can do a lot more than Steven Adams. He can do a pick and pop. He can occasionally shoot the three, shot 37, 38% from last year. He can stretch the floor. Eric Bledsoe is gone, thank God. Now your backcourt is a little thin, and I think this will now be addressed, Kent, is that David Griffin got off the hard part. He got off Bledsoe, he got off Adams, he got off Stan Van Gundy.
Thank God.
Thank God. Now, what do you do with Lonzo Ball? What do you do with Josh Hart? And we're going to get into that later in this show, but I want to get your initial reaction on what you thought of the Bledsoe Adams trade.
I think Griff, Griff is now he's recovering from his mistakes from last year, and I think he has made every right move leading up to the draft. Thank God Bledsoe's gone. I couldn't even watch him anymore. And he would play like freaking 30 minutes a night. But I was like, Jesus, get this guy off. Adams, great to get him out there, get some more cap space, and this new guy, Valanciunas, is going to be great. And Van Gundy, the fat man, as I like to call him, he sucked ass, and Willie Green's going to be great. I think Willie Green is going to be a lot like I know he just coached with Monty, but a lot of the same principles in the way of being a good guy, good team guy, family man. I think he could turn it around.
Yeah, and I agree. And we're going to talk about the Willie Green presser, and I was really impressed with just his demeanor, the way he talks. I think he controlled the room, and he's just very likable. But back to Valanciunas, let's talk about him a little bit. Steven Adams, everybody knew this. He just was not an outside threat. It's very hard to share that paint with Zion Williamson when you're not an outside threat. Now with Valanciunas, you can kind of get into that P&R, pick and pop, different kind of things. He can be a little short roller. He can hit a 15-footer. We did some video work yesterday. He's hitting baseline fadeaways. There are a lot of things to Valanciunas' game that I really, really like, and that they are very different than Steven Adams. Okay. Steven Adams, and I feel like I'm giving him a bad rap. I don't think Steven Adams is a bad player. Steven Adams is just not a 35-minute night guy. Like he just can't play 35 minutes a night. Okay. No. And when you have a super talent in Zion Williamson, you need that lane cleared so that Zion can go to work, so that Brandon Ingram can drive, so that Lonzo Ball, and just it goes on and on. Now Valanciunas can now space out to the dunker spot. He can now hit the 15-footer. He can hit a junction shot, and occasionally he'll hit a 3-ball. And I'm not saying this guy's going to be the next Brook Lopez, and I've seen those comparisons and things like that. He doesn't need to be Brook Lopez. He just needs to simply be a threat, and that's what Valanciunas is. 1 year left on his deal, $14 million. Now, I don't know what the future holds with Valanciunas, but I know we have Jackson Hayes. He will also be a great, great guy to learn from for Jackson Hayes as well. Jackson is starting to add a little bit to his game with his shot selection and things like that. That will be a big, big thing this summer and then going into next year. Let's move on to the Willie Green presser.
One more thing about Valanciunas. Steven Adams seemed like he was I liked him too, just as a guy. He seemed like an awesome guy, but he was so slow and mechanical. He couldn't clear the lane like Valanciunas will with Zion. So I'm excited for that.
I'm glad you brought that point up because Valanciunas, I've watched him film over the last day. He's got great, great footwork. And then as a basketball player, he's got light feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
big
Now,
time.
Steven Adams had very heavy. He was kind of a clunker. So if you do want to go fast with like a Valanciunas, you can. As you saw with John Morant, Dylan Brooks, like you did with the Grizzlies, and even with the Raptors, that guy can run a little bit too.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
So that's a big thing. And also, last thing, he's a high. I'm not saying Adams wasn't, but he's a high IQ guy.
Good.
You got to have IQ guys. Okay.
Got
Now
it.
Zion's young. Brandon Ingram's still young. Still good. This is a high IQ guy. And this is why I think that David Griffin hit an absolute home run with this trade. And I know everyone has said their, what they like about the trade, what they don't like. I love the trade. They get off Bledsoe, send him to the fucking moon. They get off Adams, and then they get off these contracts. And to your point, Kent, they created cap space. Okay. Now with the Willie Green presser, we're going to get into cap space. I love Willie Green off the bat. It was a press conference. He said all the right things. He's very grateful for the opportunity, and he thanked Monty Williams. He thanked Steve Kerr. He did all the song and dance of what you want to do in a press conference. But, the one thing, Kent, that I loved that Willie Green said is that he stated being traded to New Orleans was one of the best basketball experiences of my life. He got married here. I think he had his first kid here. And then also he shouted out the people. He said, the people, the culture, and the food has impacted us so great, and we are so grateful to be back. That's just good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan of the team, as a fan of the city, I've lived here for 32 years. That's just something you just want to hear from your leader.
Yeah, you want someone who wants to be here.
Yes. And I'm not saying it's just there are the right thing. There are right things and wrong. There are right and wrong ways to do a press conference. Willie Green did it the right way. It was also it was nice to not see David Griffin overtake a press conference too. And Trajan even got up there, which was, I think that might have been the first time I've seen Trajan. But Trajan said a story out how 15 years ago, him and Willie squared off in Germany when Willie was playing the Sixers and Trajan was playing in Russia for a Russian team in Germany. And that's the first time they met Willie. And then 15 years later, they're now on the same team. It was a great press conference, very well spoken, very well dressed, very sharp looking guy. Mm-hmm. And he can really dress.
Yeah, he can.
Gotta have. You don't have Stan Van Gundy with the fucking curmudgeon body. Like Willie could actually. He's sharp. Kent, what was your initial reaction to the Willie Green press conference?
One is the guy's a winner. He's been a coach. He's been on a winning culture the whole time. Great mentors. He has a bunch of people who he can reach out to, like he said with Monty, helping him getting this coaching job and just talking him through it. And Monty knows our program, not program, but our franchise, organization pretty well, even though we've definitely had a lot of big changes since he's left. But he was a great New Orleans guy. Sends this guy. Willie Green's going to be great. And I'm kind of excited that he is the third youngest coach in the NBA. He's going to bring a little life. He's going to bring a little fun culture to it. He talked about taking them to team dinners. Sounded like high school, which is great, though, because the team chemistry is what we need, I believe.
Yeah.
Especially after last year, COVID, where they can't even hang out with each other. So hopefully this will bring us all together.
And that's a lot of people don't realize how much of a big deal that is. Like, you got to have team chemistry. You got to be able to trust one another. And I think that now, once again, I'm not in, the locker rooms and in these meetings and stuff. I just never got that from Stan.
Never.
Like I didn't think that Stan would, if you were having a bad day, I don't see the, Stan being the guy and be like, hey, you doing okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I can see Willie actually caring for these guys.
Yes.
And that goes a long way in today's game. No longer are the days of where like I can, MF you and get, like hurt your feelings and things like that. Like, players don't respond to that anymore. Mm-mm. And it's a big deal hearing from your head coach that, yes, I can be tough on you, but at the end of the day, I care for you.
I got your back.
I want our families to be one and things like that. And that's what I got from Willie Green. So I was truly impressed with the press conference. He's very well spoken, and people seem to really, really like him. Now, I had mentioned about 3 or 4 weeks ago that this was a do or die situation for David Griffin. It was. It was, for sure. This was before the Van Gundy firing. I said, you got to nail the offseason. Came out, he fired SVG, and that wasn't very easy, because Benson had already owed, Gentry $5.7 million. Now I'm sure they're paying SVG under the table now. That was just not hard. That was not easy. Got off of him. Now he gets off Bledsoe. He gets off Adams. He gets Willie Green. He gets a good center in Valanciunas. He clears cap space. It's a really, really, really good start to this offseason.
Yeah, we're looking good, baby.
We
only lost seven spots for the draft.
Yeah,
and then we lose.
That's fine.
Next year's pick, but fuck it.
I
mean, we got great people for it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, people are like, well, if we move 7 spots back, like, that's fine. I knew in order to get off Bledsoe and Adams, you're going to have to attach one of those picks. It's fine. There's still value at 17, and we're going to talk about that here right now. Is that what if Kispert's there? What if I like Jared Butler? There are a lot of good this draft. It's not like last year. It's actually extremely deep, even though last year's draft is now looking to be kind of actually deep. But there are good targets here at 17. Now, is David Griffin done dealing? Absolutely not. I think he's going to keep trading. He might even move back up into the draft. Who knows? Now, Lonzo Ball. So we've talked, the Pelicans are very high on Kyle Lowry, and I was high on someone. Hearts and Moss called me out a couple of days ago that said I was high on Kyle Lowry. Then a report came out that Kyle Lowry wanted $25-30 million. I like Kyle Lowry. I don't like him at that price. I'd rather sign Alonzo Ball and then add to a Lonzo Ball backcourt. Maybe a Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe a Duncan Robinson. Maybe, there are other options out there that gets you better than just blowing your load on Kyle Lowry. And, and Kent, I want you to talk about this. Like you said, you're a big Kyle Lowry guy, and so am I. He's a winner.
I fucking hate. I hate
Kyle
Lowry,
but
I like how he is a winner. He's kind of like that guy where it's like when you play against him, you hate him forever. But if he's on your team, you love him because he does anything to win. He'll flop. He'll MF some people. Right. And I think that could help our culture. But also, I don't know if our guys will respond to it that much. But hopefully, if we do get him, hopefully we do. But, yeah, that's the kicker. If he wants $30 million, Lonzo wants whatever. 21,
22 maybe.
Yeah, do you want to go for the old veteran or do you want to hopefully
the rising star?
Yeah, the rising star. And I kind of love Zoe. Yeah, he's hit or miss at games, but I kind of like his swag, how he plays. If he starts, I think once we trade him, he's going to be like all the other Pels and Hornets players who go and dominate because we got rid of him too early.
But what a lot of people aren't talking about enough is that, and I took a lot of shit for this, Kent, last year, is that I said our offensive scheme sucked. And the David Fishers of the world who fucking drive me insane were like, you're not watching the game. They're 10th in the offense and rating. It's like, no, they're 10th because they have two incredible playmakers in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. The scheme sucks. Yeah. Don't tell me I don't know anything about basketball. I know a lot about basketball. I'm telling you, the scheme sucks. And that's what happened with Lonzo Ball, is that Lonzo's a guy, you got to get it and go. You got to play with pace. And Stan Van Gundy wanted to slow it down and call a set every play and let's do half. And that's not Lonzo's game. Mm-hmm. And that's what I can't get with some of these coaches in today's games. You have to adjust to players. Yeah. Players aren't going to adjust to you anymore. It's a different game. And that's why Stan Van Gundy, who's 62 years old, is like, I'm going to implement this offense and you're going to do it my way. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. That's why I loved watching Gentry's offense. They all flourished in it. But listen, Gentry defensively didn't really do much. Okay. And that's fine.
And I'm hoping Willie Green gets some of that from Monty, where we teach Zion how to play defense. Some of the clips I would watch, I love Zion, but his defensive presence at times is mind-boggling. It's like, what is he looking at? I mean, it's crazy.
And that goes to the point of relationships, Kent. Yeah. Is that they didn't want to play for him. No, is that an excuse? You're professional and things like that. You gotta still want to play for your coach. Yeah. It's just like a boss that you hate showing up to work to every day. And it's just like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't respect you. Mm-hmm. I think Willie Green is already going to have the respect from the players. And I think that the defense and the offense is going to get better. Willie Green had mentioned that they want to play with pace. That fits this team. Zion can fly up and down the court. Brandon Ingram will fly up and down the court. If your point guard is Lonzo Ball, you got to fly up and down the court.
Half court alley-oops.
Yes. The knock on Lonzo is he's not a great half court guy and blah, blah, blah. And okay, that's a fair assessment. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, not a lot of guys would be half court guys with Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams on their team as well. Now, I know he had Drew and Derek, a couple of years ago, but still, Lonzo's improved. I like Lonzo. I think that if you let Lonzo go, I don't really necessarily know where you go. Yeah. You let Lonzo walk, who Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson both like. Yeah. and you sign Kyle Lowry for $26-27 million. Listen, I know some people are like, we shouldn't be pleasing them. We should do what's right. Like, I still think Lonzo Ball at $21 million, and then you can add a Duncan Robinson. You can add a Tim Hardaway Jr., and then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench with Najee Marshall, with a Kyra Lewis who's going to get some playing time, with a Jackson Hayes. The team becomes, like, you start seeing it now.
For sure.
Like, listen, I think Nas is capable of being a starting two guard. Is he ready yet? I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, once again, guys, like, he shot 33% from deep last year. Like, he's not this like crazy knockdown guy. Mm-hmm. He still has a lot to add to his game, but at the same time, he's a young piece. He's exciting. He can score.
Yeah,
and he's a good defender too. I think he's a very underrated defender. So there are still things to do here in this backcourt. It's still very exciting. The biggest thing, as I said, they got off Bledsoe, they got off Adams. They don't have cap space. David Griffin can now go play the cap space game. He can go play the trade game. So still a lot of moving parts going here. But Kent, I guess to wrap up the show, and by the way, you're doing a great job. This is off the hip. Kent wasn't even supposed to join this show. He was like, you know what, I want to join you. I'm gonna give you like a number. So if Lonzo gets $22 million, would you match that for Lonzo Ball?
I think so.
I don't like. I kind of think so too.
I mean, what are other
like?
What would other teams pay him?
I think the Knicks might go 23, 24. You could. I mean, the Bulls have been a thing. A lot of people point to Lonzo Ball. Well, he's not, a great finisher and things like that. He can work on that. He's 23.
He's 23 years old.
I just hate how people are so quick to just give up on players. And Ross Thibodeau's the same way. And I love Ross, but at the same time, like, he's 23. It's not like he's 32.
And this is going to be his 5th year.
Yeah. Like he's still a baby.
And he played his first couple years with the Lakers. I mean, that
was a dumpster fire. It was a joke.
Dumpster fire and tough team to play with. I mean, you got an egomaniac as your leader. I mean, I don't know how you even play with him when you're the point guard. So wash those 2 years out, and then and now we're back here, and he just came to a new organization. Didn't know. He went from one coach to two coaches, three coaches. What? This is going to be his fourth coach in like 5 years.
Fourth coach in 5 years.
Yeah. So let the guy get a rhythm.
Same with Brandon Zion's technically his fourth coach in 4 years, if you count Coach K, then to Gentry, then to Stan, then to Willie.
Yeah. So I think you got to let him get in a rhythm. I mean,
a little stability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, great. It's been a great 24, 48 hours for this organization. We haven't really seen a lot of good days in this organization. Yesterday and today have been very good days.
Good days.
I'm very excited. Willie Green still has to fill out his coaching staff. We still got to get some backcourt help. Last thing before signing off, Willie Green did state that he will be coaching the Summer League. I think that's a good move. I'm sure Teaspoon will be on the bench. I'm sure Teaspoon will get to coach some games, but it will be good for Willie to most likely coach. I think Jackson Hayes will be playing. I definitely know Kyra Lewis will be playing. Whoever rookie we draft will be playing. I wouldn't be shocked if Najee played. So that is a good thing. A good thing for this team. I know Kent and I will actually be in Vegas covering it. So very excited. And if you haven't checked out his podcast, him and Chase Carpenter do an awesome job. Sportsman's Paradise podcast covering the fishing wildlife of Louisiana. 2 characters. You got your fishing tournament coming up September 25th. Is that right?
That's right. So yeah, if anyone wants to join in for the fishing tournament, follow us on Instagram at Sportsman's Paradise Podcast, and we'll be posting information on that, and we would love to see you out there. And
give them the tight lines.
Yeah, tight lines. And I'm pumped for Vegas to go out there. Hopefully, Jordan Mcguire gets to move on the bench. I mean, that would be pretty freaking cool.
That would be.
But I'm pumped about that, and it looks like we're not backing down.
No,
we will not bow down.
We aren't bowing down. So
we're not.
Kent Mcguire, Justin Apley. By the way, this show is presented by Hornitos Tequila, new sponsor. So make sure you go check them out. Go check out Boo Crew Media. And as always, thanks for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Propels Talk. Talk to y'all soon. Thursday draft tomorrow night. Later.
Won't bow